Okay, here we go. July 2022 Q&A. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I had a lot of comments on the channel in the past few weeks, so let's jump right into it. Matthew Dyson. This is on the Make Your Real Estate Photography Business Explode in 2022. Oh, it's the video where I did the flash power trick. He says, awesome. Do you just use those 2 exposures and send them to an editor? Other Flambient tutorials are way more complex than this one. This was fantastic. Well, thanks, Matthew. On those particular shots, it was just those 2 layers. And that's not to say that there are always going to be those 2 layers, but that house and those rooms, a couple things were happening to enable it to be just those 2 layers. Firstly, they weren't so big rooms that I would feel the need or want to go and flash pop different places to have multiple layers for an editor to then composite in post. And the other is the walls were very light. The walls were very light. The ceiling is very light, which means there isn't so much of a dynamic range difference between the outside view and the inside view that I would feel the need to bracket the ambient shots. So for instance, when you have a home with very dark walls, like wood paneling, and it's high noon outside, what you're going to find is with your ambient exposure, as soon as you get good exposure on the inside walls, you're going to be bloomed out all around the window. And that's really hard to composite to a clear window view in post. And so what I'll do in that instance is I will just bracket the ambient and then let the editors handle it. I don't know whether they're choosing just an exposure right in the middle, to go ahead and cut the window into, or if they're doing like an HDR composite and then cutting the window. I don't know. I don't care. But but those ones that you had pointed out, those were just those 2 shots. Sony A74 versus A1. Was I wrong? Trevor Butler. Hey man, what camera did you use this video on? So I looked it up and it was the Pocket 6K. And by the way, on all of my videos, one thing that I try to be consistent with is in the description, I will show what gear I used to create the video. And that does really 2 things. One thing is it informs folks like yourself who are looking, hey, what is that and what did you use? The other thing that it does is it gives me some experience and some practice with doing the YouTube stuff because it's not paid. It's not paid work. And so, I can throw together camera and lens and light and mic combinations and stuff like that, get some real world practical experience with it. So when I find a combination that I like, I kind of already know how it behaves. And so if I want to go and shoot a paid project with it, I'm not fumbling around on set. Matthew Dyson again. Hey man, awesome content. I've been in the photo world for nearly 20 years, so I know my way around a camera. However, I've only shifted my focus to real estate photography over the past couple of years. And this is exactly where I am, trying to get clients. I'm getting ready to pitch a real estate office during one of their weekly meetings. This episode was timely, and the content was gold. Seriously, thanks for putting this out. Definitely got a new subscriber out of this. Thank you so much, Matthew. Yeah, you know what? That's actually one of my most popular videos, is the one that, the one that I did on how to make sales office presentations. And for me, it has worked. So definitely check that one out. Okay, Random Tech. This is on one of the Sony A74 for real estate videos. He says, I'm surprised you don't just film it in 1080-60 to get full sensor readout. I use that for my real estate videos along with the 20G f1.8 and get great results. Just export it to 4K and no one will ever notice the difference. You're not the first one to bring that up about just using the A74 with 1080. I haven't tried and I haven't really done much 1080 filming in the past several years just because there have always been 4K options that I've had within the past few years. But I'm going to try, though. I'm going to try to do exactly that because it has been a while since I've delved into the 1080p on the Sony bodies and see how it looks. It might be a lot easier than dealing with the crop and the lensing and all that on the A74. Alan Abley. This is on the last video I did, the client referral video. Great, really looking forward to the rest of the series, perhaps subject for another video, but as far as pricing, opacity, and services, I have decided not to show prices on my site, but forward a link once initial information received. Yeah, you know what, Alan? I've done it both ways in the past. I've had my prices published on the site, and I've not had them published on the site and instead fielded the questions and so forth. Now, for me personally, I don't think it matters much because it doesn't seem like many people are looking at my site or at the pricing page on the site anyway. And that's completely my fault. And that's because I'm not really the best out there at marketing my services because I haven't really had to be. You know, I work by referral and I'm busy. And so the website's kind of like, I haven't even looked at it in a while. And I really should update the photography on the website to be my, my favorite best ones, and maybe put the prices on there too. But when I had the prices on there for a couple of years, I would still be fielding just as many questions. What do you charge? So I think all in all, if you're somebody who uses search engine optimization, or you're better than I am at having your YouTube link to your Instagram, link to your website, and have all that ecosystem, I really should get on that. Then it may make some sense to publish your prices. That way everything is consistent. If you're out there giving quotes and doing work that's consistent with your published prices, it does give you a good thing to refer people back to if and when you do get any pushback on your prices. So yeah, I'm with you. I've done it both ways. I don't currently have my prices on my website, but I'm not scared to tell anybody what they are. I just don't think anybody looks at my website. Here's a nice comment from Velour. Thanks for this video. I've been really interested in doing real estate lately and have no clue really how to start. Definitely looking forward to seeing more vids from you on this. Thanks, Velour. Yeah, it's funny. It seems real estate photography seems to be, and it's always hard to separate me because this is the world that I live in, and not looking at this through that lens. But it seems to be a really hot topic recently, like in the past couple of years. I think I've had more people kind of approach me, asking me how to get into it. Can I get into it with you? The guy who was at the drive-thru in the KFC the other day mentions, oh, I'm a photographer. Oh, yeah, I'm a photographer too. And, we exchanged information and he's been hitting me up. Hey, is there anything I can help you with? So, it seems to be really, really popular as of late. This comment I really wanted to address in this video because it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. So Rob Turner says, I left real estate photography after getting tired of these agents. That is, he's describing pushy agents. Had an agent call me panicking that the shoot had to be done today and didn't care about cost. Ran right out, shot it and invoiced her $300. After I delivered the images in record time, she then told me her guy only charges $150. Some of these people get ridiculous. Ended up only getting half of this from her. Know your value, be very clear about cost, and don't work for people that stress you out unless appropriately compensated for. That breaks my heart on so many levels because first off, you got shafted for $150 and that sucks. But what I responded to him, what I said was, that's a really good example of why having your media be delivered behind a paywall is such a thing. So when I deliver through Aryeo, A-R-Y-E-O, right? And the way I have it set up is it defaults to the images being locked down. You can see like watermarked previews of them or something like that, but you can't download them until the invoice is satisfied. And it's really easy to do. It pops up, how would you like to pay? You put in your credit card information, and then, and only then, are you allowed to download the images. So in that instance, Rob wouldn't have been shafted for his $150. It would be that agent's choice. Either she's going to pay him the $300 or she's not going to get any images. But, I also told him, and I hope that he knows that that's not typical. I've never come across that situation where, that's a pretty asshole type of thing that he's talking about. go ahead, drop everything that you're doing, come out and shoot my oh yeah, by the way, my guy only charges me half that, so I'm only going to give you half that. I don't care what your guy charges. You know, I'm the one that's missing my favorite show on bedtime with my kids just to accommodate you right away. So that's, you know, the reason that breaks my heart is because he says he left real estate photography after getting, you know, treated like that. It really hasn't been my experience that's the case. But if it does come to something like that, one of the best things about doing this is you can choose not only who you want to work with, but who you don't want to work with. You know, and I definitely would not be working with that agent anymore. Brian Phelps, nice video, man. I've been loving the A74 for real estate video. I've been rolling with the Laowa 9mm for my wide shots. Check it out. You got a new subscriber also. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so the Laowa 9mm, you know, my thing really these days is I want to trust autofocus systems in cameras. And in fact, I'm shooting right now on the red Komodo, and I see on my monitor there's a box that's drawn around my big old head, and it is continuous AF. And so if I go out of that, it will shift to the background and then go back. And this is a red camera. You know, this is a camera that is typically a cinema camera. So I really want to trust autofocus systems from here on out. And, you know, a lot of that's because I don't work with big crews. I don't want to have to pull focus on a gimbal. I've done plenty of that, you know, with the Laowa lenses, you know, with the 12mm. If there was a 9mm lens that was an autofocus that I could use with that crop on the A74, I might check it out, but I'm really not interested in manual lenses anymore. That's just me. On Cincy Photo Pro, this was one of the videos in the 2022 series that I did about not bad-mouthing other photographers, but I think it was kind of it was stemmed off of a question that somebody asked me. If you come across somebody who uses a photographer and that photographer's work is just junk, you know, how do you deal with that? And I said, well, you know, I take the high road. I don't ever badmouth any other photographer, but that doesn't mean that you can't talk to somebody and point them at your work. You know, I just don't try to actively recruit them. So Cincy Photo Pro says, if I get an opportunity to talk to the agent, I just ask they keep me. And if they keep me in, just ask if they keep me. If their photographer is not available. I understand what he's saying. For whatever reason. Most are solo guys, and I have a team. If they are on vacation or booked, I've gotten calls back up their normal photographer. If they ever move or close their business, I could become their full-time person. Just be nice and don't try to take business away, but be a resource. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was talking about. And the example that I gave on that video was a young lady who I just met out, you know, as I was shooting a property. She was coming to preview it, got to chatting. Her firm, which is a small firm in the area, has a contract with a photographer that I don't know if they have a contract, but they use this one guy for all of their photos. And I just said, hey, that's a pretty sweet gig. You know, do you have a card? And we exchanged information. You know, we're on each other's Instagram now. And, you know, I didn't actively try to recruit her, but if something ever happens to that guy and she likes the images that she sees on my Instagram, there you go. You know, so yeah, just be a resource. I like the way that you said that. Let's finish out today's video with Jeremy Deal. He has a great real estate photography channel too, by the way. You should check him out. He says, just recommended your channel today. Great seeing someone else out there with these beautiful slow style videos showcasing the property instead of their fancy transition skills and speed ramps every other scene. Quality work. Yeah, you know what? I'm not completely anti-speed ramp or fancy, you know, wipe transitions and stuff like that. And I have been known to throw those in from time to time, but I mostly agree with you. You know, I think that the best way to shoot a property is with slow cinematic movement, jump cut from scene to scene, sometimes in time with the music, sometimes not, but make it somewhat consistent, you know, and really it's the feel of the whole thing becomes more relaxed it becomes easier for the viewer to take in what the space actually is. And I just personally think that's the best way to showcase a home with real estate videos. If you're speed ramping and you know, and jumping back and forth and transitioning and wiping, and even if you're cutting too much, you know, so if you're trying to, like, you know, go with some staccato beat on the music and, you know, showing a new thing every like second and a half like that really just slow it down, you know, slow it down, take your time getting through the property. And it's less work for you on the back end too, you know, because you're having to do a whole lot less, you know, less shots and editing and less transition. You know, it's easier for you to edit that too. But I really do think that that's the best way to showcase a home. So anyway, that is the Q&A for July of 2022. August is right around the corner. And I so appreciate all of you commenting. And so I'll see you again next time. Peace.